Today in history, in 1945, the greatest maritime disaster in history. No other greater maritime disaster has ever happened. It occurred as the German ocean liner, the Wilhelm Gustloff, was sunk by a Soviet submarine, resulting in the deaths of an estimated 9,000 people.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. I am your host, Zachary, and here's the part of the recording where I would love to yell Scotland forever, but in an act of kindness to editing Zach, I shall remain dignified and calm in my saying of Scotland forever.
My name is Meghan, and tonight I am going to be your resident UFOologist, because every time I read Wikipedia, they tell me that that is definitely a job.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned that Casper the Friendly Ghost died of pneumonia.
Holy shit.
And I also learned that there's a diaper bed and breakfast in New Hampshire.
A diaper bed and breakfast?
And
I hate it.
I also just learned that there was a victory for transgendered people in Ohio because the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals just upheld a federal injunction that gender-affirming care bans for trans youth is likely unconstitutional. So, those are the three things that I learned today. But yeah, let's talk about this.
Some bad news, some middling.
I mean,
I want to go back to the diaper cafe.
I was about to say the bad news is definitely the diaper B&B in New Hampshire. My friend who lives in Virginia sent me a post or sent me like a link to it, and she goes, "Hey, what the fuck is going on with you guys up there?" And I was like, "Dude, some people just want to be in diapers." And then I decided to cry.
Yeah, no, I saw a blip about that, and I read two sentences, and I said, this makes me viscerally uncomfortable, and then I put it down.
Yeah, it's not great.
You know me, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. I say that quite often.
Some
we can yuck this
yums
one.
need to be yucked.
Yeah.
This is a yum that needs to be yucked for sure.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
I think some yums do absolutely need to be yucked.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. Guys, if you listen to our podcast and you happen to be into diaper play, do us a favor and never mention it.
And never, I don't want to hear it.
I will automatically ban you from life.
So here's my thing.
Yeah.
I have an opinion on this, and
a diaper fetish?
As a straight white man, I'm gonna say it whenever I fucking feel like it.
Okay.
I don't sit there and be angry because this exists, because that's stupid, and I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. I'm here because, and being upset about it and being like, no, thank you about it, because the way that it's happening right now.
Is it because you hate baby talk?
Oh, I do hate baby talk. That is a big part of it. But also, B, it's one of those things where it's like, look, it's so blatant and open and, like, out there in your face. And normally that's not something that bothers me, but, like, I think there's a certain, like, fun taboo to some of these things that just got taken away in this one thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, there's no, like,
so what you're saying
fun.
Is that it's fine for people to do it in the confines of their own home, but once you make a bed and breakfast dedicated to being in a diaper, the kink of it goes out the window because other people know?
Kind of. Like, if that makes any sense at all.
That's kind of fair.
Like, for me, like, I mean, at least in my experience with certain things, it's like, all right, yeah, cool, like, do what makes you happy and what makes you feel good, as long as it's not to the detriment of other human beings.
That's
Love
fair.
that.
That's a good
It's
point.
great, but you took away the secret fun of it.
Yeah.
The secret
If
fun.
that makes any sense at all, it's like, ooh.
I mean, I think it does.
That's fair.
I think I was probably a little harsh a moment ago when I said that. I mean, don't tell us about your king. First of all, don't tell us about your kinks, because why would we need to know? But also, like, I think I agree with Zach's point, which is like, if you're not hurting anyone, unless that's like the kink involved, if you're not hurting anyone without every party's consent, yeah, then you're free to do whatever makes you happy in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yuck. Not a big fan of diaper play.
Neither am I.
Not sure that I could get over that mental jump.
Yeah.
That mental hurdle.
All right.
I personally am no. Personally, it's a no from me, dog.
It's a no. It's a no from Zach.
It's an
And myself, and probably Meghan, based on her reaction so far. All right.
yeah. I mean,
Listeners, we
Fair.
have reset all of our strikes to 0. Even one of our Discord chat patrons, Corinna, she got a strike. She didn't know. I didn't say that she got a strike for this, but she got a strike for talking negatively about herself. We don't allow that kind of thing in this community.
I said only nothing but the indomitable human spirit is allowed in that chat.
We're not. I mean, guys, if you want to be a part of our Discord chat where we just talk freely with our audience, that's fine. Like, become a patron, fucking join the Discord. But if you talk negatively about yourself, you do get strikes. But I did wipe out the strikes, so we're A-okay.
It's been reset.
It has been reset. We also played a fake game of rock, paper, scissors to determine the order. And tonight the order is me, and then after me is Meghan, and then after Meghan is the last member of the triumvirate. So it would be Zach in this case, because there's only 3 of us, and thus it could only be Zach. Does that
There
make
can
sense?
only be one Highlander.
Does that make sense, friends?
I mean, maybe there's like another person that we don't know about.
there could be.
A secret
I mean,
4th member.
Steve is...
A secret 4th member.
Steve is kind of like the secret 4th member. He's
That
the
is true.
D'Artagnan of the Three Musketeers. Was that right? It's been a while since I've
D'Artagnan?
seen.
Yes.
D'Artagnan
Yes.
is like the 4th member of the Three Musketeers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I wish I had ever read it.
I'm gonna start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tonight, I'm talking about, instead of a gentleman crimesman, which is Zach's territory, I'm talking about a gentleman warsman.
A gentleman warsman. Interesting. Okay. Do tell.
We typically refer to them as soldiers.
Oh, is that what we're calling them now?
They're gentleman warsmen now. Well, this guy specifically is a gentleman warsman.
Warsman. I don't want to cut you off too much, but there was something I wanted to say because you saying gentleman warsman reminded me of this.
Okay.
I saw a bit from a comedian, and man, oh man, did it fucking hit home. And also, I need a way to complain about the government today, so here it is.
Okay.
And this comedian was like, someone who was doing like a live set, and this guy was like, "How do you feel about veterans?" And he was like, I don't know. All I know is that this country found out a long time ago that it's much cheaper to worship them than it is to take care of them." And I was like,
Oh my god.
fuck.
Oh.
You're right, but
Oh
damn.
no, he said the quiet part out loud.
That was a cut.
And that's all. That's all I wanted to say, because I was like, man, you're right. And again, I need a way to complain about the government today. So here it is.
Yeah.
What'd the government do to you today?
We'll talk about
Don't
it later.
they do to me?
Okay. All right, continue with your warsman story.
So, gentleman warsman, his name is Adrian Paul Ghislaine Carton de Vart.
What a fucking name.
All right,
That's 7 names.
Is that it? Is that it? Is
I
that his
mean,
whole name?
That is his full name. He later on in life added a Sir to it, so he was Sir Adrian Paul Gillian Carton DeVart. But so Adrian was born to a rich family on May 5th in 1880.
Way to go for being rich.
Yeah, way to be born rich, buddy.
Way to be born rich, bud.
Yeah, wow. You did so well.
Way to
Way
go.
to win
Getting that, like, favorable spawn.
Threading
Way
the
to win the
needle, being born
lottery.
rich. He had a typical rich kid childhood where he was born in Brussels in Belgium, and for most of his
Typical
childhood
rich
he would typical rich kid born in Belgium. He
All these Belgian rich kids.
he bounced between Belgium and England for a while he was a child. And at a certain point, he gets sent to boarding school by his stepmother because his parents ended up getting divorced.
Oh my God.
It's a whole thing. I didn't feel like I needed to get into it to talk about
Now
this.
that's some middle class shit right there.
That
so
is
now I'm
that is
wondering
some
what's
middle
going
class
on.
shenanigans, unless you factor in the fact that his rich father had a mistress. I don't know if
his
that's the
father
case
was
because I
rich.
didn't bother. Yeah, he's rich. He's supposed to have mistresses. It
I mean,
all
that's
of a
just-
sudden
that
becomes
comes with the
upper class
territory.
when you take that into account.
Yeah, that's why it's a mistress and not a side hoe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, true.
So he gets sent to a boarding school in England in 1891. The ripe old age of 11. He goes to college.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's practically ready to, like, get a W-2 at that point. Like, come on.
he had a W-2 when he was born.
At 11? Yeah,
He's
like,
been
come on,
working.
it's-
I think his W-2 says at the teat of capitalism.
he was working at the teat.
Yeah. And they just paid him for it.
That's crazy.
So anyway, so he goes to boarding school, 1891. He ends up going to college in Oxford. I don't know if he actually went to like Oxford College, but he did go to college in Oxford. But he ends up leaving university in 1899 so that he can join the army. The story did eventually have to lead him to war because I did introduce him as a gentleman warsman.
That is true.
Yeah. It was inevitable.
It was inevitable.
War never changes.
Yeah. He lied on the documents while he was applying to the army. He said that he was 25, but he was only 19.
Hell yeah, brother.
obviously.
I don't think the army cares.
Huh?
I don't think the army cares back in the day.
I mean,
Not really.
back in that time, probably not, or a little bit less so. Actually, no. The U.S. Army loves feeding 18-year-olds to the meat grinder.
they love it.
So he ends up serving in what's called the Boer War, B-O-E-R, not B-O-A-R, and
The
I could be mispronouncing it. It could be Boer War. Anyways,
The Boer War.
it's a war which was held between the British Empire and two colonies in South Africa that were the Boer colonies.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Adrian, he ends up getting injured very early in the war. He takes
I mean,
Yep.
unfortunately or fortunately?
It's unfortunate
Unfortunately.
because he joined the army to be in the army.
Yeah, but like
He wanted to be
good
a
job.
gentleman
You got out of jail
warsman.
free. Yeah, but you did it, and you just got injured really fast.
Yeah.
So
It's
he saved himself a lot of time.
It's unfortunate for him. He wanted to be. He
This is
wanted to be in the
ridiculous.
wars
Yes.
I guess.
because he fucks with the war. So, anyways, where am I in my script? In my little notes.
And your notes.
In my notes. Where am I in my notes? So, unfortunately for him, he does end up getting injured early in the war. He takes a wound to the stomach and he also takes a wound to the groin. And the British Army...
Two bad places to get injured, I guess.
They are bad places to get injured. The British Army sends him home to his father, and his father had not been aware that he left school to join the army.
Oh, okay. Papa,
Yeah.
I have bad news. I've been injured. And he's like, at school?
Papa,
No.
I have 2 bits of bad news. Tell me them both. I left school and got shot twice.
No. Hold on. Hear me out. That actually goes, Papa, I have bad news. 2 things. What? 1, I left school. 2, you're never having a grandchild.
Well, I don't know that his ball sack got shot off. He did just get shot in the groin.
I know, but look, this is a comedy history podcast,
That's
so I'm
fair.
just going to be
no,
like,
you're absolutely
he
right.
got shot in the dick.
Papa.
Lol.
He got shot directly in the dick. I'm actually now looking up whether or not he had kids.
Exact injury.
No, I'm not looking up whether, like, I want to see pictures of this guy's sack after he got shot.
I want photo evidence.
I want photo evidence of him having been shot in the balls. So anyways.
I want to see it.
So he goes
Picture
home. His
didn't
father
happen.
his father is very angry that he had left school to join the army, but ultimately decides to let him stay in the army.
Okay.
Adrian recovers and gets sent with a unit to India in 1902. And part of his recovery was him focusing on his physical fitness. So he does activities like running, jogging.
For the revenge bod.
Yeah, for the revenge.
Yeah.
It's like a scene out of Rocky.
Montage.
Montage. It's gonna be a montage. So he runs, he jogs, he goes swimming, he plays sports. One of his favorite sports ends up being polo. And
Typical rich person shit.
yeah, for sure.
I know, typical rich person shit.
He gets sent to India, and many of his friends that were in the company that he was in India said that he was a gentleman who, quote, must hold the world record in foul language.
Must he?
Yeah, I guess this guy just loved to be foul. Just loves to say swear words. His unit gets sent from India back to South Africa in 1904, and he gets... I don't know if it would be considered a promotion from, like, just general soldier to, like... He gets assigned to a position called aide-de-camp, which is essentially a secretary to the person who's running the camp at the time. Or running the...
Well, his dick did get shot off. He
did get his
injured.
dick shot off, that's for sure. So he ends up becoming the aide-de-camp to a gentleman by the name of Sir Henry Hildyard. Which, you know, take that as a last name.
Take that. I was like, take that.
I don't
as
know,
what?
dude.
Okay.
Like, this guy has 19 names. Like this guy only has one. So I don't.
You ever had one of those sentences where you don't know where it's going to finish? Because I just did. So anyways, he becomes the aide-de-camp, which gives him just enough time to do all of these extracurricular things that he gets to enjoy. So he's essentially assisting this guy with his day-to-day duties, and then he gets to go out and play polo with his highfalutin friends. Up until this point, or in the entirety of his service to the British Army, because he was born in Brussels, as I mentioned, he had always been a citizen of Belgium until he swore oaths on September 13th of 1907, which made him a full-blown, naturalized English citizen. In 1908, if you think this guy's name is bad, In 1908, he gets married to Countess Frederica Maria Carolina Henrietta Rosa Sabina Francisca Fugger von Babenhausen.
When is it over?
That's it. That's it. That's
Every single new name felt like an assault.
Yeah, no, it was a machine gun's worth.
The official name of this episode is going to be Too Many Names.
Too many names. Too many names in the kitchen. So she is the eldest daughter of
another Babenhausen.
Karl the Fifth.
Karl Babenhausen.
Prince of the Fugger Babenhausen clan. It's just so, I don't know how. But this ends up getting him pretty high-end access to a lot of, like, more rich people.
Nice.
This is just, he does...
I love having more access to rich people.
So, well, I mean, when you're rich, but when you marry a countess...
Yeah, that's a different kind of rich.
It's a different kind of...
Yeah.
So between his marriage in 1908 and when he goes back to war in 1914, he does a bunch of fucking hobnobbing with some pretty big names in the Belgian royalty community.
The Belgian aristocracy.
That well-known aristocracy.
Yeah.
He knows the Prime Minister of Belgium.
Okay.
He just hangs out with a bunch of fucking
Belgian guys.
I wish I knew the Prime Minister of Belgium, even like his name right now.
Yeah, couldn't fucking tell you.
If I had a gun to my head, I wouldn't be able to pick that man out of a lineup.
Yeah, no. But could you identify his penis?
Is it shot off?
So anyways, he just hobnobs with a bunch of rich people. And then in 1914, something happens. The first of two.
His dick grows back.
Some fucking
World
asshole
Wars.
gets shot.
The first of two world wars happens. All right? The war to end all wars. After this war, no other wars exist.
Not allowed.
I knew it.
It's World War Uno, guys. We're just fucking stacking up cards. +4. So Adrian starts World War I in the British Somaliland theater. And he ends up getting shot twice, which seems to be a theme for him.
Okay.
This guy fucking loves getting shot.
I know, bullets are magnetized to him.
He gets shot in the ear.
Oh no.
And he gets shot in the face, which costs him an eye.
Oh, that sucks.
He's running out of body parts.
He is, and he's going to continue. Because in 1915, he and the group that he's with get sent to the Western Front. And in the span of a year, he gets injured many more times. These injuries, and I'll read them for you, are that he lost his left hand.
Oh.
Yep.
Before he lost his left hand, though, a doctor refused to amputate on him. And so he ripped his fingers off himself.
Why?
They had to come off, apparently.
Because they had to come off. But the doctor wasn't going to do it, so he was just like, fuck it, I'll do it. So he pulls his fingers off, and then the hand does eventually get removed entirely. He got shot in the skull and the ankle.
Okay. Yep.
He got shot in the hip. And then he got shot in the leg and then shot again in another ear.
Okay.
So the man's riddled with bullets at this point.
Damn.
He's less of a man.
He's making Andrew Jackson look like a pussy.
Little.
Yeah.
Little
He's
bit.
like half Swiss cheese at this point.
July of 1916, he is awarded the Victoria Cross, which is the highest honor for gallantry that can be bestowed to a member of the British Army. At the time, I don't know if that's still the case today. I didn't look into it. But he gets... what was interesting while I was researching this guy is that he gets a ton of, like, temporary promotions where, like, they award him a rank above the one that he's in for, like, one round of combat, and then he gets demoted again.
Why?
I don't know. But he gets a lot of these temporary promotions, and then just before the end of the war, he's given the command of an entire brigade. And one of the members said that they were scared to have him as a commander because he was known as, quote, a fire eater, missing no chance of throwing the men under his command into whatever fighting happened to be going.
He's like, if I have to be filled with holes, you have to be filled with holes.
If I get to be made of Swiss cheese, exactly.
Yeah. If I'm made of Swiss cheese, you will be made of Swiss cheese.
You too.
And we will be the Swiss cheese brigade.
The cheese brigade.
The cheese brigade.
The cheese brigade. They will fear us.
Are you good?
Yeah, we're good.
I guess.
Are you good over there? So after World War One, sorry, it just came to mind the whatever her name is, Kunk or whatever, where she was like, they were being very pessimistic, calling it World War One, huh? And the guy's like, well, I didn't think they thought there'd be a second war. So it was just the World War then, but we've called it World War One because there was a second. Anyways, he was asked about the war.
Yeah.
Given the fact that he got shot so many times, and he said, he's quoted as saying, frankly, I had enjoyed the war.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Are you sure?
Huh?
Are you sure that you enjoyed it?
That's what's weird about it, right? But he survives World War One by the skin of his teeth, by the sounds of it. And he ends up getting sent to Poland, and I'm gonna take a page out of Zach's book, and I'm gonna leave the rest of this man's life story for the next time that we record, because there's a lot to talk about, and I've already been talking for a long time.
So little time to do it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
This was his first, or this was the story about his World War One experience. Next time, I get to tell you about his World War II experience.
Stay tuned. You'll figure out how many more holes and where he got them next time.
Yeah, next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z. How many more holes?
Can we just talk? Well, how many more names? Can we just talk about this woman's name for half a second? Countess.
Sure.
Frederica.
Countess.
Maria. Carolina. Henrietta. Rosa. Sabina. Francisca. Fugger. von Babenhausen.
That's like 10 names.
It's so many names. It's an uncomfortable
That's
amount
so
of
many.
names.
It's a good amount of names.
Good amount of names.
It's a good amount.
All right.
So anyways, that was my story.
And now I go next.
You do go next, as per the written instructions.
As per the written instructions. I've named my story A Strange Encounter.
Yes.
Okay.
I know that that's not a spicy name.
I mean, it depends on
But-
how spicy your story is.
They don't all have to be
We'll
spicy
see.
names, Megan.
That's true, but I pride myself on the spice.
Fair enough.
She's the spice queen.
So, the Spice Queen. So, the United States has a lot of alien encounters.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
one
to
might
answer
say.
for.
It has.
Zach
It also
is
has
so
a lot to
fucking
answer
ready.
for. I know.
point
So
in
on
time.
tonight.
At any point
Why-
in time, Zach is waiting
just
for
really
an
need to
opportunity to be
know.
like,
What did it do to you today?
It doesn't matter.
Like, okay, you're right. It doesn't matter. Every day is violent.
yes.
So it has a lot to answer for, and it has a lot of alien encounters that it also needs to answer for. I'm gonna make up a stat here, and it's going to shock you. One of every 2 people in the United States has been abducted by aliens. So
Thank you
sleep
for
in fear.
telling me that
One
it's
out
a
of how
made-up
many?
stat.
1 out of every 2 people in
oh,
the
yeah,
United
okay.
States has been abducted.
So if you and your
Yeah.
friend are standing next to each other, and you
Yeah,
know
one of
you haven't
you.
been abducted by aliens,
Yeah, one of you has. So the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter is a little different than your run-of-the-mill I was taken into a UFO and only have vague memories of what transpired event.
Yeah.
So on the evening of August 21st, 1955, when there were no home security cameras, 5 adults and 7 children arrived at the Hopkinsville, Kentucky police station, claiming that small alien creatures from a spaceship were currently attacking their farmhouse.
oh, jeez. Okay.
Like, they were, like, in the process of attacking the farmhouse. Like, they had to stop fighting the good fight, which had been going on for nearly 4 hours with gunfire, to come to the police station and be like, we need reinforcements.
we need the fucking National Guard
nobody
now.
else in
We-
town heard the gunshots.
Well, this is in 1955 in rural Kentucky.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that their cell phones didn't work.
Yeah, I'm saying their cell phones did not work.
Okay.
So these people were like, we really saw aliens. Like, and our first instinct was to go pew pew. And when that didn't work, we came to the police.
Nice.
And so 2 of the adults claimed that what they had been shooting at were short, dark figures who repeatedly popped up at the doorway and peered into the windows. They grabbed people's hair and they were flying across the sky from tree to rooftop and just like avoiding capture in general. And the number of figures ranged from 12 to 15, with reports that there were also flying saucers zipping across the sky.
I was
the
about to
figures-
ask, like, is there a possibility that they were fighting baby Mothmen?
Baby
Then you-
Mothman.
But then you said UFOs, and that
Yeah,
cleared it up. It could
It-
only be one thing.
it did. It can only be one thing. So the
Sasquatch.
figures were also described as having large eyes and being only about 3 feet tall. They had thin legs and human-like hands and maybe antenna.
Maybe.
Only maybe. Listen, they were popping up everywhere. There's the gunfire. This had been going on for 4 hours.
I think
there was a
after
lot
4
happening.
hours, you should know what your enemy looks like.
Well, it was, I don't know, it was dark.
That
Maybe they also didn't have electricity
Oh.
in 1955. Who
I
can
see.
say?
Okay. Yeah. So their cell
Yeah.
phones weren't working because the electricity hadn't been invented yet.
Was out.
Nor
Yeah,
had
the
cell phones?
Wi-Fi was
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
The fact
or
that
home
they
security
didn't have
cameras.
cell phones, Zach, is a matter that we can forget about. Okay.
So they also said that when they were shooting these creatures, they'd float to the ground and then they'd escape. And that when a bullet hit one, it sounded like it was hitting a tin can.
Were they just fighting tin cans?
Maybe they're just fighting tin cans.
I was going to say, it
don't
sounds
know.
like, they think that scarecrows are, like, aliens or some shit.
The scarecrows might be aliens. It's a little hard to... Who can say?
Who can say?
So the police were obviously very concerned, considering they were like, is this just a gun battle happening between regular people? Like, we can't have a shootout in 1955. That's not acceptable anymore. So they sent in the cavalry with 4 city police cars, 5 state troopers, 3 deputy sheriffs, and 4 military police officers from a nearby fort. And at this point, I assume they've pulled in everyone they possibly can who has a pulse in Kentucky, because that seems like a lot of people.
That sounds like, you said what, 1955?
It's 1955 in rural Kentucky.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody that lives in Kentucky in 1955.
Yeah, that sounds like literally
That's the whole
everybody.
state.
So, what was it?
I said that's the whole state.
It's the whole state.
It's everyone
a big
who's
state,
involved
but not
in
a
this
populous
shooting,
one.
and then all the people that
Everyone-
they just called in to fix the problem.
Yeah, that's like
That's all
19
of
people.
Kentucky.
All
That's
of Kentucky. So all of these people head over to the Sutton farm, because this is the Sutton family, which is located in the town of Kelly, because I don't think Kelly, which was very small, had a police station. And much like you would expect, they don't fucking find anything except for evidence of gunfire.
Okay.
So everyone, the entire state of Kentucky goes home. And the next day, the family is just gone. They left the house claiming that the creatures had returned later on around 3:30 in the morning, and their neighbors were just like, they just like got up and left in the middle of the night. Like, they're not dealing with this anymore.
Okay.
So now there are people who like argue against this story being aliens. Like, there are a lot of UFOologists who are like, this is an encounter of the third kind. Like, this is a very like, this is like a pivotal moment in like just people meeting aliens. But other people are like, well, things like aren't really adding up here. So the first is that in the original telling, before the newspapers got a hold of this story and started twisting it around, the flying saucers were just like lights streaking across the sky. And at the time that this was being reported on, the Kappa Cygnids, which is a meteor shower, was taking place.
Okay.
Which could be seen over this part of Kentucky. Then that leaves the aliens themselves. And skeptics have posited that it wasn't little green men, which this is the story where that phrase comes from when we refer to aliens as like little green men and like what they look like with the big heads and the big eyes and like the skinny arms. This is where it comes from. This is ground zero for it. They said it wasn't aliens, but great horned owls.
Oh, okay.
Yes, dude.
And when I read this, I was like, this seems implausible. But then they started like cooking. They started explaining what great horned owls look like. And let me explain. These are pretty big ass birds.
Yeah.
They stand over 2 feet tall, have large reflective eyes, little legs that they hop around on, and they can fly.
Yeah.
They are also super active at night and are very territorial, which would explain why they were attacking people.
Okay.
And you add this to the fact that the original testimonies say that there were only 2 of the creatures at a time, like when this starts,
Yeah.
that maybe it wasn't actually aliens, but maybe it was a bunch of tired hicks who were fighting owls with guns.
Could we talk about
for
the possibility
4
that
fucking
maybe
hours.
it was the only 2 aliens in Kentucky?
That's also true.
Okay, yep. I hear you.
Look, I'm just saying it could still be aliens.
I mean, it still could very
It's
well
not.
be aliens, like I
It's
said.
not, but
like,
it could be.
It could be. And this is like a lot of UFOologists, like in cryptozoology, people look at this.
I couldn't hear any of
Hi,
what you
can you
just
hear me?
said.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so a lot of people, like, in that community, like, in the cryptozoology community and, like, the alien hunting community, look at this as, like, a very well-documented event that proves, quote-unquote, that aliens exist. Because they're
Gotcha.
like, there's enough plausible deniability that, like, it's not greenhorn owls, but,
It also could not
like,
not be
actually
greenhorn
aliens.
owls. Yeah.
Yeah, it could also not be them, but it also could be them. But like the story has gotten twisted and like hyper focused on throughout the decades that like it's just a little bit more interesting, isn't it, if it were little green men?
Oh, absolutely.
I still am making a case for baby Mothmen.
I want to believe
Where is
that.
Mothman?
Mothman's
Isn't it
a
like
Pennsylvania thing.
Virginia?
He's
No,
in
Virginia,
Is it
sorry.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
It's Virginia.
It's Virginia, right?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry I
it's
blasphemed
okay.
against Virginia and Mothman.
Let's be honest. Cryptids can fucking vacation too, all right? Maybe
Where is
Right.
Mothman Festival?
maybe Mothman decided to take his babies to Kansas. And they
Yeah,
decided to
exactly.
terrorize some hillbillies.
I'm gonna go. Let's go to Mothman Festival.
Fuck
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, Mothman Festival. Mothman Festival 2024, September 21st and 22nd. Celebrate the legend.
Where is
Yeah,
it?
let's
In
go.
Virginia?
It's Virginia.
Listen, I'm looking. I'm
I
looking
mean,
exactly
it has to
where
be
it
in
is.
Virginia.
It has to be Virginia, but also where?
September
Where in
21st and
Virginia?
22nd, you said?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to look at my calendar right now.
Attractions and events. Mostly people dressing up as Mothman.
That's a Saturday and a Sunday. I should be able to make that work.
Yep. Okay, it's in West Virginia.
West Virginia.
No, wait, it commemorates the 1990
Jesus
the
Christ.
1966 Point Pleasant, West Virginia Mothman sighting.
Yes. Either way, we're
Okay.
getting crazy for some Mothman.
We're doing it. We're going.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Where is the festive FAQ? Where is it located? FAQ. Okay. The
FAQ, for
Mothman
those of you
Festival.
that don't know, stands for fuck.
Frequently
it's-
asked questions.
It's held annually in downtown Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and features
God.
live music, merchandise,
We're going.
food trucks, cosplays, speakers, and of course, us.
Cool.
We're going.
Yeah.
All
hell
right,
yeah.
that's my story. You guys, is it Zach? You're up.
I'm up. All right, let's do this. So, in regards to my previous statement of Scotland forever, if you can't tell, I'm going to talk about Scotland tonight.
He's telling a story about Ireland.
I mean, okay.
He's telling us.
No, but also the Irish do kind of come into play with like a lot of times when you talk about Scotland because the British suck.
Yes.
So I'm going to be talking
No.
about Scotland tonight, and oddly enough, playing cards.
Go on.
Dot dot dot.
Dot dot dot.
Because if you don't know, or you're not just generally aware, the Nine of Diamonds in a deck of cards is colloquially referred to as the Curse of Scotland.
Oh.
Which I don't know how that's colloquially called, or it must be called in some very specific circles, because I've never fucking heard of that in my life other than
Just the
today.
Scottish. Just the Scottish call it that.
Just the Scottish call it that. But what the heck, what the fuck do I know? Either way, the Nine of Diamonds carries the moniker of the Curse of Scotland. And even better is the reasoning behind that statement, and that like idea is so speculative and unsure that there's no historical accurate historical this is definitely why it's done that way. There's just a lot of wild theories out there, which
Game theories out there.
My favorite kind of history is the kind of history where we just throw spaghetti at the wall, hoping some of it sticks. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So let's start slinging these historical nudes, spelled Noods, of course.
Yes, of course.
The thing is, though, before we get into the fun part of history, like, you know, the topic itself of history, we're going to have to do some homework first, because there's some important information going into this.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah?
I just wanted to cut in and say that we haven't done our ad read yet.
We weren't doing an ad read tonight, were we?
We were.
We were?
Yeah, we mentioned it in the chat earlier that you need to talk about Magic Mind.
Oh, that is true. I am sorry. I will fix this in post. But yes, you're right. We haven't done our ad read tonight. Hey, folks. It's us here at the Triumvirate Productions.
It's us.
And
It's us.
it's us, if you couldn't guess. Oh, my God.
It's a me.
We're part of the thing you're listening to.
Yeah, we're the thing you're listening to. So yeah, we have a sponsor today for the show, Magic Mind, and we talked about them last week. We talked about how they're a nootropic. I don't know how exactly to pronounce that word. But
Nootropic is probably right.
Nootropic brain boosting little drink, and it comes in a little teeny tiny shot. And I talked about yesterday, and I'll reiterate today how it's pretty great. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday, and I work in a hard laborious job until 2, sometimes 3. Sometimes we'll see when I get out, because that's how life works sometimes. And when I get out of work at 2, I'm like, man, I want a cup of coffee, but the last thing I should have is a cup of coffee, because then I won't go to sleep until 11. And we ended up getting samples of this product, Magic Mind, and I tried it, and I was like, hey, this is nice. I kind of, get a little bit of, I don't need to go home and nap levels of exhaustion, and I can get work done. I can go home. I can edit the podcast. I can do all the things that I need to do without all of a sudden being like, well, also now I'm jittery and regret and have a stomach acid problem and regret drinking a giant cup of coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Which is pretty great. And, also, I, as a person, have been trying to cut down on my caffeine. I, overly consumed caffeine for a very long period of my life. And now
It's been his whole life, guys. Don't let him trick you.
1 cup of coffee a day,
It has been his
please.
whole life.
I met this kid when he was in high school, and he always had 17 coffees on him.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, all right, I'm glad to have, some kind of energy boosting thing that, helps without giving me the jitters and also being the problem of yet another cup of coffee. And the other thing is Matt has given a taste of this as well, so he can contest. It is a earthy flavor, but I like it. It's got matcha in it, which is one of my favorite delicious earthy things that's kind of slightly sweet. And I think it's really good. It's herbaceous, and it's
definitely got it's got a great. It does. It's a good earthy taste, good earthy smell.
I also take a greens powder every day, and man, that stuff is nasty. So to have a green drink that isn't gross, I do enjoy. But yeah, so it is a fun little product that we have been trying recently, and at least I know I have been really liking for the past couple times that I've
Magic Mind did ask us to try the product for 3 days before we give it an honest review, and I unfortunately just got my samples today. So I did taste it, but I have not been doing it for long enough to give a testimonial, which is why you guys get to hear Zach talk about it again this week.
But next time, who knows? We'll see. And by the time
Next
this
time I'm
episode
going to make
airs,
Zach do it because.
Just because. By the time this episode airs, sadly, their January campaign is going to be over, but you can still go to magicmind.com and give their stuff a try. We're also going to be keeping in contact with them, so hopefully we'll be able to get you a new code for February. And so if you want to try some of their stuff out and use our code, we'll get one probably for February. But yeah, that's it. Thanks again to Magic Mind for sponsoring today's episode.
Thanks, Magic Mind.
Back to Scotland.
Thank you.
Back to Scotland.
Back to Scotland.
So the homework behind the Nine of Diamonds is thus. Most of these theories take place during the Jacobite Rising in 1745. And long story short, it's very important because after the Glorious Revolution in England, the Catholic King James II of England was replaced by his Protestant daughter Mary and her husband William, who was Dutch and didn't have anything to say at all. Sorry, little Dutch boy.
Oh,
Sorry,
oh,
little
wait.
Dutch boy.
We've said it a third time.
No!
Oh no.
Yeah?
Huh?
No.
Little Dutch boy?
Sorry, Megan.
No.
This is Megan's nightmare. Zach's
He has
nightmare
been
is baby
summoned.
talk. Megan's nightmare is little Polish boys. Little Dutch boys.
Little Dutch boy.
Look at
Oh,
me over
it's
here in
a
my
little
native horse in Megan.
So, this English-Dutch power couple rules over England, Ireland, and Scotland now. However, there was the rise of the Jacobites, who were just like, hey, we want the OG boy James II and his Catholic bloodline to take power again. Yay, infighting. Doesn't remind me of current politics at all.
Of course not.
Anyway, Scotland is naturally like, fuck the British government, and I can't blame them. And they're trying to get back their freedom.
Okay, here's the thing. Let's
Yeah.
give the British their flowers for being the only country to create a holiday all throughout the globe, pretty much. Because almost every single country has an Independence Day. And who are they being independent from? The fucking
The
British.
You're right.
You're right. When
They
you're
did
right,
it
you're
so
right.
we could all have a federal holiday. Thank you for the trauma.
Thank you, England, for fireworks and getting drunk
And tea in the harbor.
and throwing tea in the harbor. Fuck, that was good. I was not expecting that. So, the Scottish are backing the Jacobites for the most part because they're like, hey man, if we can get this guy back in power, maybe he'll give us our fucking country back. But that's the background that you need to know going in. The first theory is easy peasy lemon squeezy, and that the theory is that it is called the Curse of Scotland because when it was first seen in print in 1710, it was a reference to Sir John Dalrymple, who was the first Earl of Stair.
Yes, of course.
I love lamp. We're just naming things.
These are all fucking great words that you're putting together to make sentences.
So, Sir John, his family crest had 9 diamonds on the crest.
Oh, I thought his family. I thought his family crest was a set of stairs.
No, just some stone steps.
Just
It's
a
lovely.
picture of a flight of stairs.
Just a glossy JPEG of stairs. So, yeah, John was not a well-liked man, you see. He was a ruthless political figure and quite a shitheel, if you ask me. He was most notably known, that's a bad phrasing, but I put it in my notes, so I'm reading it. He was most known
yes.
for pushing the Scots to accept William and Mary in place of King James in 1688, ordering the Glencoe Massacre in 1692, and right before kicking the bucket, pushing the Act of Union with England in 1707. What an arse. Definitely cursed upon the nation.
Yeah.
Another theory stems from the Battle of Culloden, great fucking name, which was the final confrontation between the British government and the Jacobite rebellion. The government commander, who was Duke of Cumberland, fuck, I love old-timey names.
These names are
I know.
great. Was he the originator of Cumberland's farm?
Probably not.
Where
I
you
don't know.
Where you can stop to get gas?
They don't sponsor this episode like Magic Mind. They don't get a say. So, the Duke of Cumberland gives the order to the British troops to give no quarter to the Jacobites. However, the prevailing theory, or the story that goes, is that as he's like, I gotta write this down and send it on up the line, he didn't have a fucking yellow legal pad at the time, so he's just like, well, I'm playing cards with the boys because I'm a commander.
The boys.
I'm a commander and not a line officer, so, like, I guess I can just smoke cigars, drink brandy, and play cards instead of being on the front lines. And he was like, well, I guess I'll just write this declaration of kill everyone without mercy on the back of a 9 of diamonds. Here you go, buckaroo, send it up to the front lines. Which is stupid. This theory is fucking stupid because it exists, so I have to tell you about it, but it's fucking stupid, and I can't state that enough.
We love stupid theories.
Yeah, but, like, it's stupid.
We do love theories.
You know that scene in Glass Onion where he's just like, no, it's just dumb?
Yeah.
That is this to me.
So dumb, it's brilliant. No, it's just dumb.
Dumb. It's dumb because a playing card is a dumb fucking thing to write on, and also this anecdote comes 36 years after the original saying was around, so, like, fucking lion-ass, British-ass Duke of Cumberland, more like Duke of fucking Bumberland ass.
Duke of Bumberland.
I needed something to be irrationally angry over, and the Duke of Cumberland is the brunt of my aggression tonight.
There we go. That and the American government.
That's always
mostly the American
always the brunt
government,
of
though.
my aggression, man.
This is true. As it should be for all of you.
Yes. Be angry, everyone. So, my favorite theory so far, and the last theory, this is a very short little bit here because it's all theories. None of it has been proven true. And also, we're running out of time. I gotta hurry this fucking up. My favorite theory has nothing to do with the Jacobites and the Jacobite Revolution. That, by the way, the Jacobites lost. Surprise, surprise.
Which is a shame because I really like their name.
Yeah, right?
It is a really good name.
It's a great name. But it stems from a tale over 100 years older than the Jacobite conflict. During the reign of Mary, Queen of Scots in 1560s, which, Mary, Queen of Scots, excellent. Lot of juicy tidbits we can talk about another time. A man by the name of George Campbell sneaks into the royal palace, and when he sneaks in, he attempts to steal the crown jewels off the crown of Scotland. And the heist goes horribly wrong, as most heists do, and Campbell is forced to just fucking book it on out of there. But before he leaves, he managed to pry some of the diamonds off the crown. Any guesses as to how many diamonds?
Does he get 9?
He gets 9 diamonds.
That's insane.
Oh my god.
So he steals the 9 diamonds and gets away, and the rest is history, as so they say. And after the theft of the diamond, the government levies heavy taxes against the people of Scotland in order to pay for the replacements in the crown, hence making it the curse of Scotland that these 9 diamonds were lost and everyone paid the price for it. However, whether or not that story is true, it is not the only time crown jewels were sought after by sticky fingers, and a slightly more interesting attempt on the English crown jewels was made by a Colonel Blood. But that is a story for another time.
Goodness gracious, he always does this to us.
I can't believe you're both doing it. I can't believe you're both doing this to me.
Ugh. I know, right? This is like it's a semi-related part 2, Colonel Blood, which, by the way, that's the best fucking name ever. I know we say that a lot, but like Colonel Blood,
it is a good name.
Beat that, please.
It's not nearly as good as Countess. I'm not even gonna try it.
Yeah, don't even try. But yeah, so the Curse of Scotland, the 9 of Diamonds on a deck of cards, has been believed to be there for a number of reasons. or the meaning behind it has a number of theories that go with it. Again, my favorite is the crown jewels because I love heists.
Who doesn't
I
love the term crown jewels as well?
That's true. That's true too.
It's a great.
With that, I finish my theorizing thus, and Matt, I won't even cut you off. I'll just jump right into it because
it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's been a while since I said sorry.
It's been a while.
But yes, thank you very much, all of you, for listening. We love doing this show, and we can't do this show without people like you listening. So thank you so much. It is amazing. A few things before we jump off. Please, we'd love it if you followed us on our socials. You can find us on Instagram at the triumvirate Productions. You can also find us on Facebook if you look up the Triumvirate Productions. We do have a Patreon that is open and available. We have a $3, a $5, and a $10 level that gets you a whole bunch of different bonuses, including After Dark extra bonuses, uncut episodes, and the other thing is access to things that we like to try out before we send them out to the public. As Matt alluded to at the beginning of this episode, we now have a Discord channel that we are trying out with some of our Patreon members. The goal is to eventually open that up to the public so you don't need to pay the Patreon membership in order to chat with us. But we like to test things out with the more exclusive group of the Patreon before we just start throwing things out willy-nilly. So if you kind of want to be on the jump at that stuff at the beginning, head on over to patreon.com/Triumvirate Productions and sign up. We also are starting some stretch goals, so if we end up making it to $150 a month in Patreon donations, we're going to do a historical D&D one-shot, which should be a lot of fun. We know there's a little bit of a crossover between a lot of people who like nerdy things like history and like nerdy things like tabletop RPGs. So we like to, kind of be there for all of it. But yeah, that's basically it in closing. So thank you again for listening, and thank you again for any of you who are Patreon members, or if you just, tell a friend. That also helps us grow.
Shout out to the Patreon members that we've gotten to know over the past,
It's so nice.
So,
I know.
Shout out to Alex,
yeah, it's been
Brittany,
nice.
Corinna, and Samby, who are our people in the chat right now. Well, they're not there right now, but
they're not there right now, but
we have been talking to them. So, get on their level, guys. But also, if you can't afford to right now, it's also fun. But
that is the other thing I would like to say. That's the caveat with the Patreon. It's something we want to do because it's going to help us eventually buy better equipment and kind of figure out a couple of other things that are we can do with a little bit of extra cash flow. But
finally pay our interns.
Finally pay our interns. But if you can't afford to support us even at a $3 level, don't do it. Tell a friend and give us a rating and review on Amazon or on Apple Podcasts and iTunes and whatever and Spotify, but don't break the bank over us. Just the fact that you listen and you talk about us and you think that we're fun to listen to is so satisfying. But so yeah, if you can support us monetarily, we love it. But if you can't, again, don't break the bank over it. That's something I really want to iterate. In this horrible capitalist structure that we have to live and grind through, don't make us a problem. We don't want to be a problem to you. We want to be something fun.
And if you come up to us on the street and say that you went broke because you subscribed to our Patreon, we're going to be we told you distinctly not to do that. So, your fault.
But that's it. That's what I got.
I don't think that'll happen, but if it does.
No, I hope not.
Just be prepared for us to be upset with you.
We gave specific instructions.
We specifically told you not to do that.
We specifically said no.
Why isn't anyone having fun? I specifically requested it. All right. With that, guys, it's been a long day. Not necessarily for me because I had a day off today, which is rare. But for the other two, so I will end the podcast as I always do at this time of night with the same sentence that I have said since episode 1. Say it with me at home, folks. What the fuck, history?